All right, let's go ahead and cut and weld some PVC pipe here. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut my PVC pipe and get it ready for welding with this fitting here. Okay, so I'm going to use a ratcheting PVC pipe cutter like this one here. The way this tool works is you put it around the pipe here, you then slide it down on top of the pipe, and then you're going to ratchet down through the pipe at a right angle here, or 90 degrees perpendicular to the pipe. Okay, and when you're done using it, you just pull backwards on the bottom handle and it opens the ratchet back up. Okay, so this is a really nice tool. It makes a nice smooth 90-degree cut here. You want that cut to be smooth as possible and as close to 90 degrees as possible. If not, when you slide the pipe into the fitting here, you want this edge to make contact with the lip on the inside of the fitting. If those do not meet together, the pipe will not weld together properly. Okay, so if you've got a really off cut, if it's really diagonal, if it's got some jagged edges from a PVC saw, you should do that again and try to make them as close to 90 and as smooth as possible. Okay, so after we've got our pipe cut, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the fitting depth. Okay, so I'm going to take a ruler and I'm just going to hold it up to the edge of the fitting there to measure how deep that collar is on the inside of the fitting there. So we're right at about 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to come over to the pipe that I want to weld to the fitting, and I'm going to use my pen and my tape measure. I'm going to mark 3/4 of an inch on the PVC pipe. Okay, I'm going to mark 3/4 of an inch on the other PVC pipe that I'll be welding as well. Okay, so now when I do my fitting or my welding, I want my pipe to go in to the fitting until that black line is lined up with the edge of the fitting. Same thing over here. I want that pipe to go in all the way till this black line lines up with that. So it should be into about that deep there as I press it in with the primer and cement. Okay, so the next parts to the process here, I'm going to cement and prime these pipes. The thing about the primer and cement, the primer is actually the most important part. It's the first part of our process here. So the primer is going to soften the fitting and the pipe, so when the two pieces of plastic come in contact with each other, two pieces of PVC come in contact with each other, the two pieces actually meld together, fuse together, and make a single piece. Okay, so again, the primer is the most important part. It's actually softening the material, allowing it to fuse together. And then the cement, on the other hand, is like a filler. It's going to fill any gaps, any places where the collar and the lip of the pipe that's going into the fitting aren't making perfect contact. That's what the cement is going to do. It's going to fill in any gaps that aren't perfect. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is prime now. I take my primer out, and I always prime the fitting first. So I'm going to prime the fitting, inside of the fitting. I'm going to go to the outside of the PVC now. Okay, I'm going to go back and do another dip here and do the inside of the fitting one more time. Okay, now I'm going to use my cement, and when I take my cement out now, I'm going to start with my pipe this time instead of the fitting, so the process is flipped around. I'm going to go pipe first. Okay, I'm going to go to the fitting, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to dip it one more time in the cement, and I'm going to do the pipe again. Okay, getting a nice even coating on the outside of it. Okay, So now as I insert the pipe into the fitting, I'm going to give it a quarter rotation. So it's going to go in, and I'm going to quarter rotate it, and I'm going to hold it in here for about 15 to 20 seconds to make sure that I've got a good union here. If I let go without holding it for that 15 or 20 seconds, the pipe may actually back out of here. The cement will push the pipe back out the direction it came in. So I'm holding that. Count to 20. Okay, when I'm done, I can take a rag and wipe off any excess material on the outside of the fitting there, just to make things not so messy as I keep working here. Okay, now I'm going to grab my primer again. I'm going to again do the fitting first. I'm going to prime the fitting. Okay, I'm going to come over and prime the pipe up to that black mark I made. Okay, I'm going to dip it again. I'm going to prime the fitting one more time. Okay, I'm going to come back to the cement. I'm going to cement the pipe this time first instead of the fitting pipe. Okay, I'm going to cement the fitting now without dipping it. Okay, and I'm going to come back and dip it one more time and put some more cement on the pipe, not the fitting. So I put a second layer on the pipe. And we always do the pipe first and last with the cementing, because the excess material will then push off on the outside of this union instead of collecting on the inside of the union there. So this one's going to go in. We're going to give it a quarter twist. Okay. Again, we're going to hold it for about 15 seconds so the cement doesn't push the pipe out of the union there. Okay, and again, when we're done, we're going to wipe off the excess material. Okay. And like I said earlier, make sure our lids are always on here tight so material doesn't volatilize out of the can and be lost to the atmosphere. Okay, and just a quick review of the cement and primer process. Remember, when we do this, we are going to prime the fitting first, and then the pipe, and then the fitting a second time. Okay, we're going to then take the cement and we're going to cement the pipe, and then the fitting, and then the pipe a second time. So one more review on that. If I move over to the other side here, I'm going to prime the fitting first, then the pipe, then the fitting again. And then I'm going to cement the pipe, then the fitting, then the pipe again. Okay? So that's our little lesson on cutting and welding PVC pipe. I will talk to you again soon.